All right, welcome to my FX Buddies, the podcast. And I say podcast because there are multiple ways to interact with this content, but my favorite way is the blog. And the blog is parked at myfxbuddies.blogspot.com. But that's a lot to remember and a lot to type in. So wherever you are interacting with this content, look for a prompt of more info, intro, description, something of that nature. Tap on it, and another box opens with a link directly to the blog, the free blog, and you don't even have to put your email address in. And I don't sell you anything. All right, so today was Wednesday, August 6th. It still is, but probably by the time you hear this is going to cover news for August 6, 2025. And it started off with a great bang and then it kind of just fizzled down. But so early this morning I did uh, this. I did this blog, no video, just a blog, and because I wanted to get it out. So look at this. Iraq to resume oil exports via Turkey's Ceyhan port within 2 days. So the remember I said I thought things were going on, meetings were going on behind the scene, but they just weren't telling us. And I think it's because they just flat out don't know who they can trust. Somo leaks information. The Kurds don't trust Baghdad. Baghdad doesn't trust the Kurds, at least in public, right? In the articles, that's what it looks like. So yeah, the that came out. So they said 1 or 2 days. So we'll see. So I'm going to go with Thursday, maybe even Friday, right? And then also to add to that, they had a meeting to talk about the salary issue. So while they're saying, hey, the oil's going to flow, all right, then over there in Baghdad, the Kurdish group went to Baghdad and yeah, so hopefully they'll get their June and July payments. Now remember, this is just the Kurdish people. The people in the other parts of the country, they seem to be getting paid regularly. I'm not sure if they're not in the streets, it's not in the news, and it's not on TV either. All right. So, all right. So on to today's. So later it came out, there was a couple of things from the CBI, but I think this is great. Is Iraq cleaning house? Iraqi banking reform 2025. Can you hear my cricket? I went on ahead and gave it a name. I named it Carrie, because Carrie could be male or female. And I don't know why it's still alive. There's no food in here. I don't even know what crickets eat. And it's still here. But anyway, so yeah, Iraq's bank restructuring project. Okay, it says project. I don't like that because it should be their system, their program, their way of doing things. But this is a first, probably a one-time thing. So maybe it is a project. And it says commit, merge, or liquidate. Yep. So we'll make this larger for people who are on phones. The Iraqi banking sector is witnessing an unprecedented transformation with the launch of a comprehensive reform project led by the CBI in collaboration with the global firm Oliver Wyman. That's the auditors, right? The project aims to restructure the banking system and raise its efficiency in line with international best practices. The plan, which extends until 2028, seeks to reorganize the status of private banks and determine their future within the market through clear and well-defined paths. The Iraqi banking system is currently witnessing a broad reform movement aimed at restructuring and organizing it in accordance with the international best practices under the direct supervision and strict oversight of the CBI. And then we're watching the CBI, right? Because remember, the Treasury has a whole floor our U.S. Treasury has a whole floor of their building. And then look, they're still getting things through. They're still smuggling. They're still getting incorrect contracts through, even with all of that. Hmm. How's that happening? So it's kind of a lengthy article. They even talk about because they found some things, they can there's some non-refundable fees that they can pay in the merger option, right? Continuation option fee, 2.4 million annually, which isn't a lot, right? So, but I guess that's like, when our banks get caught, or not only our banks, but European banks, all the banks, they all money launder, they all do things, but they treat us like criminals, right? And what do? They get fined. We don't even know who they pay the fine to. Wells Fargo was out there making up fake accounts. Remember that? So that's probably what this fee is, and who knows how long they'll have to pay it. And as long as we get our money, who cares, right? You know. But until they complete this process, we will continue to watch what they do. All right. So yeah, so there's 70 banks, but like 35 of them, and they're still going back and forth. Where's the Treasury is saying yes, we put sanctions on them. The CBI is like, well, no, we don't have sanctions. There's restrictions, whatever. Even so that's the end. No, here, no, let me see. I wanted this one. This step is viewed as a serious attempt to break with traditional banking practices that are no longer viable, especially in light of the economic and financial challenges facing the country and the increasing pressure to provide a transparent and efficient financial environment capable of attracting investment and enhancing monetary stability. Then there's one more paragraph, but we can skip that. Yeah, so that, and then um, I don't think I even put the article here that says there's no truth that the Bank of Baghdad has been sanctioned and they can still work with dollars. So then tomorrow there'll be another one saying, yes, it is true, right? But none of that is holding up what we're waiting for. I don't think so. I don't believe it's holding it up. So, you know, whatever. Now, this was in Iran's news. And if you click this link, it'll go to the website, and there's a video there. But they speak Farsi, right? In Iran. Well, that's what I'm told. I'm told they speak Farsi. I don't really know. And it wasn't on YouTube, so I couldn't put it. But it's digital transformation in Iraq. Confident steps towards e-governance and combating corruption. So there's the lady at the window. As Iraq begins its serious steps toward e-governance, it emerged as a strong competitor in various fields, including tracking dinar movements and combating corruption. These steps reflect a clear government will to bring about a digital transformation that strengthens the economy and serves citizens. As Iraq has taken steps toward e-governance, it has become a strong competitor in several areas, including tracking the movement of the Iraqi dinar and combating corruption. So, I left off financial and economic expert Safwan Kwase, and they interview him. Remember that platform? And I was like, I don't know if it's supposed to be our, like OUR, or if it's just UR. I don't know. So, yeah. So this will contribute, I like this sentence right here. This will contribute to accelerating the globalization of the Iraqi economy, especially as we face a set of challenges in transferring the Iraqi economy to the international environment. And then there's more, but I just thought how interesting that I believe this here, this Tasnim News, I'm pretty sure that's an Iranian news channel. So maybe they're showing their people what's coming for them. I don't know. But thus, Iraq is advancing in the global rankings. of countries operating in the field of electronic systems and electronic payments in steps that have strengthened the government's capacities and benefited citizens. All right, so that if you care to, you can read these articles. They kind of read like they are sanctioned, they're going to be sanctioned. You know how they do, they make things cloudy. But U.S. sanctions 35 Iraqi banks over dollar violations. And then they have the Echo Iraq Observatory, which specializes in economic affairs, revealed that 35 of the 72 banks operating in Iraq are now subject to sanctions imposed by the U.S. Treasury Department, which include a ban on dealing in dollars. Yeah, so then this one, over 30 banks in Iraq face U.S. sanctions over dealing. And here it says Iraqi and Arab banks, which are now prohibited from conducting transactions in U.S. dollars. So I think it is a done deal, and I like that because it's like we put our foot down, or whoever put their foot down and said, no more, we're not giving you any more time, and you'll just miss out. But technically there shouldn't be any more dollar, at least not like people business, right? They'll have the merchants and the uh, foreign transfer, that remittance thing, doing business internationally, right, with the different states. So, yeah, I think this is good. It may sound bad, but I think it's a good thing. The Central Bank of Iraq confirms the smooth operation of Bank of Baghdad. So and they even put that on their CBI website, which I thought was interesting, right? So, and then now this is a little different. Washington threatens sanctions against Iraqi entities and opposes the involvement of faction leaders in the elections. So I told you, didn't I tell you we're going to interfere with their elections? No, I mean, technically we're not messing with machines or whatever. And they're already complaining, the election board, I guess. So if you don't know, they have a card when they go vote. There's a machine that they put their national card in. Previously, they would dip their finger in this ink that's either blue or purple. To me, it looks purple, but they say it's blue. I don't know. So that's how you knew who voted, because then their finger was purple for a few days, right? They're getting rid of the ink. They're going to scan people, scan their eyeballs, but it's going to be digital. So already they're saying it's so hot, the machines may not function in the heat. So I feel that the election results are going to be challenged, and they do have the right to challenge them. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I'm thinking we're going to make sure Sudani doesn't get a second term if he doesn't come around, which, and maybe I'm wrong, but to me it seems like he's not fully on the U.S. president train. But I don't know. But then also he has to answer to Iran, right? So we'll see. But one thing that would be good for him is um, he if he gets elected, he can say, well, it wasn't me. I did everything, because the UN gets involved with the elections. They're run, independent of the people who are running in it. So if he wins again, uh, they'll be happy. If he loses, they may be upset with him, but it's to no fault of his own. Plus, he has said numerous times he wants a second term to finish his program. So we know he wants it. Now, here they talk a little bit about this, the Popular Mobilization Forces Law. So the remember the session they had yesterday was so violent, and it ended the way that it did, and they the House Speaker deemed it null and void. But today, the Deputy House Speaker was like, "Oh no, we had quorum, we read, we did this, so no, it was a valid session." So you know where that's headed next. Federal case, right? That's going to go to the judge. But there's still time. They can still do all of that and have the elections on November 11th as planned. But I'm thinking, because I didn't really pay attention to what laws they read. So if they did a third reading of that PMF law, then there could be a problem there. But I don't know. So we'll see. I'll have my eye on it. I know you probably won't, and that's okay because that stuff is really boring. But we need to keep an eye on it just in case it is a problem. All right, so if you'd like to support my FX Buddies, which is Tishwash, here are the ways to do it, and I'm very appreciative. So when this is a live blog, that Buy Me a Coffee link is live. Cash App is always live. And my ID or tag or whatever is $, all lowercase letters, T as in Tom, I, S as in Sam, H, WASH. And PayPal is the same thing, Tishwash, all lowercase. Thank you in advance, big or small. I appreciate it all. Alrighty. For those of you who still don't believe in weather manipulation, you just can't anymore. You can't. Remember, I think it was last year, maybe a year and a half ago, it was either Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. They had a flood, unprecedented flooding, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we were experimenting with making it rain." And then they were like, "You can't say that. Oh, no, 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 we weren't experimenting with making it rain. We just got rain that never happens here, and so it flooded." Do you remember that? Well, if you don't, look it up. It was either Dubai or Saudi Arabia. But here we have, in black and white, Iraq seriously considers rainmaking to address water crisis. Yeah, because they've been doing it. So they're going to get a specialized technical team. And because the issue is they have to fight with Turkey, or I'm not going to say fight. They have to agree with Turkey and they have to make agreements with Iran to get water. So they're like, let's just make some rain and we can fill our reservoirs and our dams. And then we don't have to deal with them all the time, right? So yeah. And also look up some other things you can look up if this is the first time you've heard me say it. Weather treaties. Yes. Weather treaties. They go back to 1932, I believe. So it's the one thing that's good about technology is if you know how to use it. I even heard that you can crack ChatGPT and get it to say things like, "Yes, I'm really going to take over the world." Have you heard that? I didn't know that. There's brackets, braces, something. And if you know the right code, the right what's the thing? The right prompt to say to them, you get around that, and yeah, they start telling you the real truth. But whatever. So yes, please go to the blog and read this. If you're someone that doesn't believe in weather manipulation, it goes way deeper than just making it rain. So if they can make it rain, doesn't that mean they could make it stop raining if they wanted to? Yes. They can. If there's a tornado that's getting stronger, they can put chemicals in it that will weaken it. But do they ever? No. All right. And that was in Iraq's news. So I didn't even have to, every now and then, stuff I like to talk about actually merges with Iraq's news and I get to talk about it. All right, here, and then they're really big on AI. They're opening some colleges to talk about and teach their. I I'm thinking it's probably the wealthier people because they show them and they're dressed really nice, and the women have on headscarves, but they look like they're silk. Just you know, people with money when you see people with money, and school is not free over there. At least I don't think the universities are, but it's limited how many people get in and everything. But yeah, so they're gonna really dive in. But this guy's like, hold up, not so fast. We're not there yet. We're not at the point where we can replace employees with artificial intelligence. He said it's premature. I wish you could see this picture. Ah, oh, that picture is so creepy. In fact, I'm gonna put it there. I'm gonna it's like a anyway, I'm not gonna describe it because I won't make it sound right. Okay, so then see this? I don't want to say this, but the original conflict that started, actually it's been going on since 2014 with the country that starts with an R and the other one starts with a U. Apparently, there's some good things happened. There was a meeting that seems quite friendly between Witwicky, Stephen Witkoff, and oh, was it the P person? The person that starts with a P, or was it his under person? I don't know, but this is an article that says if that conflict, if it ends, will it tip the scales of gold, oil, and the dollar? And it's Antoine. Remember, I always say it cracks me up that his last name is Antoine. His first two names are Basim Jamil, and then Antoine is his last name. But he pointed out that the stability of commercial and economic activity in general leads to a uniform level of fluctuations in the prices of gold, oil, the dollar, and property, a matter that applies globally and locally. Yeah, so then they go on to talk about how the dollar is still pretty much used as a measure of security and stability. And if you're not paying attention to what they're trying to do with these stable coins, mm, you might, even if you just have to take baby steps and just learn a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, a little bit at a time, it would behoove you to learn about what they're doing. Because it seems like it's a good thing, like it's good for the dollar, but it has back doors into the CBDC system that we don't want. Yeah. All right. So I think that's it. Yes, that is it. So I'm not even going to drag this out. We'll see what happens. Tomorrow's Thursday. Hopefully, we'll get an article saying the oil is flowing because it's not right now, and it is 8:30, like roughly. It's approximately 8:30 in the morning over there, and I don't see anything. I'm watching their news. I don't see anything, but all right. So if I see anything, I will report. And I again want to say thank you for the support and the comments. You guys leave really good comments. Um, oh, please hit the thumbs up button on your way out. It helps a lot. And if you would like to subscribe at 11 minutes and 11 seconds, a little icon pops up. and you can tap that and you'll be subscribed. Or, you know, the subscribe button is right there. And yeah, because I don't post regularly. So when I do post, if you activate those things and everything works as it's intended to, right? Which we know it doesn't. People tell me, I didn't get the notification. I'm like, well, just go check the channel every day and see if there's a new video. All right. Um, accumulate while we wait for the rate to appreciate. Don't miss any meals and pay all your bills. What else? That's it. Enjoy the rest of your morning, night, noon, whatever time frame you are indulging in this content. And until next time, which will probably be tomorrow.